Hi friends, good morning. I am in Belanki and again welcome you all in this our subject mechanical engineering materials. So friends, we are in basics of engineering materials and today's topic of our discussion is microstructure and types of microscope. So guys, in previous two lectures we have discussed sample preparation for microscopic examination. At that time also we have discussed sample preparation we have to do for the or for checking of microstructure of a material or to do the microscopic examination under the microscope. Means we have discussed if we perform those five operations of sample preparation properly, means sectioning, then we can say that mounting, then grinding, polishing and etching. If we perform these five stages of sample preparation on the job or the section properly, then what happens? Our sample will be ready, or our job or section will be ready for the microscopic examination. Means to check the microstructure of the material under a microscope. So let's see what is by microstructure. Before that, what is metallography? So metallography, it is a branch of material science which deals with the microscopic and macroscopic examination of metals and alloys. Metallography is a branch of material science which deals with the study of macroscopic and microscopic examination of metals and alloys. So main purpose of examination is to study the structural characteristics of metals and alloys and its constituents in relation to their physical and mechanical property. Means physical and mechanical property of the material are depend on the microstructure of the material. So study of the microstructure of the different materials, find out the different phases of that material according to the microstructure, with the help of that to find out the mechanical and physical property. Correct na? All that comes under the metallography. Then let's see here microstructure. So simply you can say that microstructure is nothing but internal structure of the material, under a microscope. What is my microstructure? Micro means meaning is very clear. Micro means small. Correct na? So internal structure of the material in nanoscale or in a small scale under a microscope called as a microstructure. Then why there is a need to check the microstructure? Because on the microstructure, or we can simply say that physical chemical properties are depend on the microstructure, because microstructure of each and every material will be different, and according to that inside structure features will be different. Take example. See here, this is a microstructure of steel. This is a microstructure of steel. Means simply if we take the suppose rod of a steel, if we take rod of a steel, and first if we prepare a sample for the microscopic examination, means first take a small section of a steel from the rod, correct, that is the sectioning, then mount that section on the plastic material, that is nothing but molding. After that do the grinding operation, means finish the edges of that section. After that do the polish on that, and after that etching is there. Generally, as we know, related to the steel or related to the steel, nithal or pickerel, these are the two etchants are used. So put down the 2-3 droplets of that etchant on the surface of the section after the polishing. Now our sample is ready for microscopy examination. Then what do I have to do now? Take that sample and put under a microscope. Once we put that under the microscope, as you know, inside the microscope magnifying lenses are there. Magnification means to zoom. So 5x, 10x, 20x, 25x, 50x. Likewise magnifying lenses are there. So select any magnifying lens according to the requirement. Suppose select the 25x. If we use 25x as a magnifying lens, so that lens zoom your internal structure, means microstructure of the steel up to 25x, and it will be like this, which is in the front of us. Because in front of us microstructure of steel is there, and which we have observed in our practical time under an optical microscope under the magnifying lens of 25x. Correct, na? So this microstructure of steel consists of different phases. So students, here this microstructure of steel consists of different bright and different dark phases. Bright and dark means if we see this structure properly, there are certain white pattern is there, sorry, dark pattern is there, means black dots are there, and another yellow pattern is there. Correct, na? So these two types of phases are there. We can say that dark and bright. Dark means black, bright means that yellowish shade. So related to the steel, this dark and bright pattern defines different phases. And according to these different phases, we can say that, or we can analyze the properties of steel, means physical and mechanical properties. Clear? So see here, it is a structure of metal or alloy observed under the etching and polishing under high degree of magnification. Means as you know, first prepare a sample of the material which microstructure we have to observe. So ultimately it will goes through the polishing and etching stage, and after that put that sample under the microscope. And inside the microscope, what we have to do? We have to select the magnifying lens. So magnification is about 25x and maximum 2000x. So inside the microscope, magnifying lenses are available from 25x up to 2000x. We have to select according to our requirement. If we select more magnifying lens, we get detailed view of our structure. Clear? So the arrangement of phases and defects within the metal is known as microstructure. Means if we see this microstructure of steel also, this consists of different phases of different phases are there, dark bright phases, and different names are there. So according to the names or on that phases, on those phases, properties are depend. Clear? In simple words, microstructure is what we see under the metallurgical microscope on nanoscale. Means this is a such structure we have to observe under the microscope on the sample or after the sample preparation under a nanoscale. Correct na? Means we have to prepare a sample of the material which microstructure we have to observe. We have to put under the microscope. We have to select the proper magnifying lens, and then we have to select the proper magnification, and then on the eyepiece we get the microstructure. Then at last, microstructure determines the physical, chemical and mechanical properties of material. See here, this is very important. Why microstructure is required? Because physical, chemical and mechanical properties are depend on the microstructure. Means if we have to check the mechanical property, suppose tensile strength or other properties are also there, it will be gets more clear with the help of this microstructure. Then this is a microstructure of steel. Likewise, also we can check microstructure of aluminum also, microstructure of aluminum alloys also. We can check microstructure of copper also, microstructure of copper alloys also we can check, in which bronze is there, brass is there. Correct na? Brass is copper plus zinc alloy, bronze is copper plus tin alloy. Correct? Whose microstructure also we can check. In that case, what we have to do? Prepare a sample of those materials which microstructure we have to observe, and then put under the microscope under the magnifying lens. Then on the eyepiece we can easily check the microstructure, and according to the microstructure, according to the different phases which are there in the microstructure, we can analyze, we can determine the physical, chemical and mechanical properties of the material. But student, always keep in mind, microstructure for each and every material will be the different. Means microstructure of steel will be different than the microstructure of aluminium. Microstructure of aluminium will be different than the microstructure of copper. Correct na? Microstructure of aluminium alloys will be different than the microstructure of copper alloys. because basic constituents of each and every material will be different. According to that, microstructure will be varies. Correct, na? And according to the microstructure, physical, chemical, mechanical properties will be the different, because each and every material consists of the different phases. Correct, na? So microstructure of steel, it is in front of us. It consists of dark and bright phases. Certain names are there, which phases having, and according to those phases, physical, chemical, mechanical properties are there for the microstructure of this steel. So clear, friends, what is microstructure? Simply, microstructure means internal structure of the material. Material means material which is prepared by the sample preparation, and such material, when we are putting inside the microscope under a nanoscale, means under the magnifying lens, then we can check the internal structure of the material on nanoscale. It shows different phases which are inside the material, and such structure called as microstructure. Why microstructure is required, or what is the importance of microstructure? On the microstructure, physical, chemical properties are depend, because microstructure consists of different phases. Material changes, phases goes on changes, and according to the phases, internal, or we can say that physical, chemical properties will be different. So always, students, keep in mind, if we have to check physical, mechanical properties of material properly, in that case we have to check the microstructure of the steel. If we have to check the properly mechanical and physical properties of the material, in that case we have to check microstructure of the steel. There is no any another way. If we have to find out 100% properly physical, mechanical properties, then microstructure we have to check. Clear? Then microscope. What is my microscope? So already we have discussed, if we have to check the microstructure, we have to use our microscope, or simply you can say that microstructure of prepared sample of a material we can check under the microscope. So simply you can say that microscope, it is an instrument. Microscope, it is instrument which gives magnified image of the small object. Or microscope are required for the examination of the microstructure of the metal and alloy. Means purpose of microscope is that to check the microstructure. Correct, na? How it works? Inside the microscope, magnifying lenses are there. Correct, na? And when we placed our prepared sample inside the microscope, that magnifying lenses zoom out internal structure and ultimately directly gives the phases on the eyepiece. Correct, na? So see here, this instrument, have you observed anywhere, guys? So there are different types of microscope are there, belongs to which this is the one of the very important microscope called as optical microscope. So with the help of this instrument, we have to check the microstructure of different materials. practically when our regular college will be start. So this is a optical microscope. So see here students, microscope means it is instrument which is helpful for the microscopic or examination or to show the microstructure of the material or metal or its alloys. Correct. Then there are different types of microscopes are there. Optical microscope, electron microscope, scanning probe microscope, X-ray microscope, ultrasonic microscope. So these are the different types of microscopes are there, and these microscopes are used in various areas according to the application. But related to our case, optical microscope is very much important. So optical microscope we have to discuss in detail. Correct, na? So guys, see here. This is the optical microscope. Why it is called optical microscope? Because it consists of different optical parameters like mirrors, lenses, and likewise. And working principle of this microscope is based on that. On optical parameters means mirror, lenses, likewise. That's why it is called as optical microscope. So this or for the working of this optical microscope, light or electric supply is required. When we start the electric supply, this optical microscope gets works. So different parts are there. Eyepiece is there, magnifying lens is there, then mechanical stage is there, fine adjustment is there, then base, illuminator means light source is there. Correct. So friends, when you are in college means when our college gets regular start and when our practical gets starting, at that time we have practical. Check a microstructure of steel, check a microstructure of aluminum and its alloys, check a microstructure of copper and its alloys, check the microstructure of low carbon steel, check a microstructure of medium carbon steel. So students, in that case what we have to do? We have to first prepare the sample of this material by sample preparation. Then once our sample gets prepared, what we have to do? We have to take a sample and we have to put on this mechanical stage. See here, at middle mechanical stage is there. Once we put the mechanical stage or a sample on the mechanical stage, from the bottom side illuminator or light supply is there. So from bottom side light supply strikes on our sample, and whose image gets captured on this objective lens. Objective lens means magnifying lens, as already we discussed na, from 25x up to the 2000x. So select any particular magnifying lens, suppose 25x. So image of that particular sample or internal structure of the material under 25x will be gets captured, and that such image we can observe under the eyepiece. At top side, see here students, eyepiece is there. So clear? How we can check the microstructure of the material under the optical microscope? Suppose if you have to check this microstructure of steel, then what you have to do? take a sample of that steel material which is prepared by the sample preparation stages, put on that mechanical stage, start the supply, select the proper objective or magnifying lens, suppose 25x. So through the light source, light get strikes on that particular sample, correct? Then inside the objective lens, internal structure gets captured under 25 times, correct na? Means internal structure we can zoom up to 25x. It is already, we can say that, under a nanoscale. So such structure we can observe under the eyepiece, correct na? And it will be the like this. So friends, practically we have checked the microstructure of steel and take a image. So likewise, when you are in a college, we are doing practicals on this. So at that time, your idea also gets clear how optical microscope works, correct na? Different materials having the different microstructures, different phases are there. According to the material, it will be different, correct na? So all those your idea gets clear when we are performing the practicals. So at that time your all doubts or ideas will be gets clear if in mind you have some doubts or ideas. So friends, in today's lecture we have discussed what is microstructure. Microstructure is nothing but internal structure of the material which we can observe under the nanoscale, under an optical microscope. And main purpose of checking microstructure is that to find out, to analyze proper mechanical and physical properties of the material. Clear? And guys, in previous 2 lectures we have discussed how to prepare a sample for this microscopic examination. It is also important, huh? Because if our sample will be good, our microscopic examination will be very clear. Means microstructure we can check very clearly. There is no any error or nothing. There is no any chance for the doubt or fault. So guys, okay, in next lecture we are going to start new topic from this chapter called as what is my hardness and how to check hardness of the material with the help of Brinell and Rockwell hardness tester. Clear? So guys, okay, thank you very much.